The Globe Theatre was originally built in 1599, and it was a combined project between Shakespeare and another business person named Burbage, and it was one of the biggest and best theaters at the time. The pit was an interesting area. Of course, the Globe was round, and on the inside you had all of the chairs that would be facing the stage surrounding it. In the middle, on the ground level, where literally the stage would be about this high, was called the pit. And those were the cheapest seats, and those people were called the groundlings. They paid a penny to get in, and they got to sit there if it was raining in the mud, because of course there wasn't a roof, and they would sit there and enjoy their time at the theater. Interestingly enough, the groundlings were allowed to hiss, boo, cheer, throw rotten fruit, meat, whatever they wanted to do to demonstrate how they felt about the scene that was going on, quite contrary to today's theater etiquette. Also, there was a large area behind, of course, where you would have people applying makeup, putting on their costumes, and of course awaiting their entrances and eventually their exits. The balcony was either used for seating, although the balcony was also used in many of Shakespeare's plays, and there were many plays where there would be characters up above another character, whether it's a balcony or a higher battlement in a castle, whatever it may be. So that balcony was employed to demonstrate, of course, the most famous scene being the balcony scene in Romeo and Juliet. And up on top of the stage, above where the heavens would be, was a scenery hut. And in the scenery hut, where they would store costumes, they would store props and scenery. Interestingly enough, you had a lot of performances where they used cannons, and of course, instead of simulating the cannon fire, they actually shot cannons off out of the roof, and they actually burned the plays down because of cannon fire at one time. That was around 1614. And of course, it was rebuilt. There were also trapdoors that you would get underneath the stage. It was hollowed out and actually come up through. And that could represent either a character that's a ghost coming up upon the scene, or even characters going beneath the scene, literally to hell. Some of the more famous plays by Shakespeare, of course, were a lot of his later works. Othello, Macbeth, King Lear, The Tempest. The acting styles during this time period are quite interesting. Acting styles were just getting developed, and one of the biggest differences between modern acting and acting at that time period was the fact that women were not allowed to act. So what happened and what occurred is that there were adolescent boys, pre-adolescent boys before their voice changed, would actually dress up as the women and would be the female characters. Today that would be a bit awkward. The Globe Theatre is still in existence today. It actually wasn't rebuilt until 1999, and an American actor, Sam Wanamaker, who was completely and utterly surprised that there was nothing in London excuse me, to commemorate Shakespeare's life or his works, decided through private funding to actually rebuild the Globe Theatre. Ironically, he passed away before the first performance, but for nearly 10 years, every year, there's been a Shakespeare performance as well as many other performances from other eras in the new Globe Theatre.